Hello, ProSocialites. Nemo Ashyong here, and I am oh so thrilled to introduce our guest today, Tahir Qadir. Tahir works as a retirement actuary at a consulting firm. He has 5 years of experience and recently became a fellow of the Society of Actuaries on the quantitative finance and investment track. Tahir, let me just start off by saying congratulations. I know that's quite the feat, so congrats to you.
Thanks, Nemo.
So, Tier, I've given Pro Socialites a little bit of your background of you professionally, but why don't you help us get to know you a little bit better personally?
Sure. Thanks for having me, first of all. As Nemo just mentioned, my name is Tahir. I live and work in New York. I recently finished my exams, as Nemo mentioned. So, with my newly obtained free time, I'm trying to explore the city more. I like going to new restaurants, visiting museums, and just enjoying New York. I also teach a class on Exam FM part time, so I get a lot out of connecting with students and helping them too.
That's really great. And Tier, I mean, I know from my own personal experience, you've just been incredibly supportive and an inspiration for me. So it is an absolute pleasure and a real treat to have you here today. It's going to be a great time. Kind of keeping that in mind, are you ready to embark on a journey?
I am.
All right, let's do this. So to hear, we here at Pro Social Learning talk a lot about the actuarial journey, and in my opinion, every journey needs a guide, a compass, something to help you know where you're going. And I kind of think about that as something that could be represented through a success quote or mantra. So, do you have anything you might want to share with Pro Socialites on a success quote that means a lot to you that throughout your journey?
Sure. Somebody actually just recently told me that a successful actuary doesn't think of themselves as a technical person with business skills, but they think of themselves as a business person with technical skills. So actuaries have amazing technical skills, and they're proud of them, as they should be. But if you view yourself as a technical person, it might limit you. So, as actuaries, we have problem-solving skills that can be applied in a wide variety of situations, and we're working in business environments. So our skills can be used to draw inferences and conclusions about bigger picture business issues that senior management and clients really care about. So if you think of yourself as a business person, you'll approach bigger problems and your impact will be much greater than it would be if you just thought of yourself as a technical person.
I really like that. It's kind of having both sides of it, and it's not you're keeping yourself holistically full, but you're also emphasizing a side that most people may not come right off the bat and think about with actuaries. I think that's really great. Tia, we want to try and make this concrete. Can you give us an example of some time that you've tried this and you've seen it work for you in your working experience?
Yeah, on one of my recent projects, it was actuarial, but at the beginning of the project, the client senior management, including the CEO, the CFO, the Chief Human Resources Officer, they established some like overarching goals or criteria for the project. So throughout our analysis, we were constantly going back to the goals and asking ourselves if the options that we were presenting to the client met those goals that dealt with the client's financial statements, the employee satisfaction, competitiveness with others in their industry. So it just makes you much more valuable as an actuary when you're addressing the most important issues to your company and to your client.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's it's a great allure of the actual role here. So Tier, let's go ahead now that we have our compass and such. Let's go all the way to the very beginning, to the start of your actuarial journey. And I'd like to know, every journey starts with a first step, and I'd like to know a little bit more about yours. Can you let us know what inspired you to become an actuary?
Yeah, I've always loved math, even since elementary school. And by the time I got to college, I knew that I needed to be doing real math problems as a job to be happy. So, actuaries deal with complex, rigorous math problems, and being able to directly apply my problem-solving skills at work every day, that's what keeps me happy.
I like that. So you had this inkling that you wanted to do math, and you knew that was going to kind of keep you happy throughout the things that you did. So I'm kind of curious, like, what were you doing in school that you felt kind of helped prepare you for a career as an actuary, especially something that wasn't necessarily actuarial.
Yeah, the technical skills, like I mentioned before, those you kind of develop like they're going to be developed regardless. You're going to take the exams, you're going to take the right classes in college, and you'll get the preparation that you need for the math and the technical aspect. But when I was in college, I actually took a public speaking class that helped develop my communication skills. So if you can communicate complex results to a non-technical audience and you can highlight the important messages, you can be confident, you can be convincing, it's really going to make you much more successful. So I liked math growing up, but I also enjoyed writing and speaking. And communication skills can really set you apart and propel your career. And this is something that the Society of Actuaries is also focused on, actually. To become an associate, you have to demonstrate the ability to write clear, concise memos. And to become a fellow, you actually have to do a presentation as a part of a classroom course that's the last step in the exam process. And it's not intimidating, it's done in a supportive environment. But even the Society of Actuaries recognizes that communication skills are really important to being a successful actuary.
Absolutely. So I know you just said that you became a fellow, so you had to do a presentation for that. Would you like to tell us about, either that presentation, if you can, or anything that you might have, applied with communication skills on your job recently?
Yeah, my communication skills are applied every day at work. I lead team meetings, I speak to clients all the time. When I go recruiting, I use them. So, I recently went to a recruiting presentation at a university with over 100 students in an auditorium, and I didn't even have to prepare. So, a typical actuary in school might think that, oh, some people are just good at speaking and I'm not, but that's not true. It took me years of practice to get to a point where I don't have to prepare. And anybody who's a good speaker is practicing. Actors are always rehearsing, they're always acting. And, eventually you get better at it and more comfortable speaking and communicating, and it pays off.
Absolutely, Tier. I'm seeing that every day, and I think practice is just a whole bunch of what helps make a successful actuary. And it actually kind of leads into something that I was curious about. Especially given that you recently attained your designation. Is there anything you might have to tell us about exams? I know that that's a really big part of starting. It's a big black box, especially when you're just beginning your journey.
Well, the first and most important thing, I think, is just hitting the study hours target. So I think the general rule is 100 hours of studying for each hour of exam time. So plan a study schedule, build in time for delays, and really make studying a priority. There are no secrets, there are no shortcuts, there are no strategies that are going to substitute for putting in enough time. And if you fail an exam, don't underestimate the amount of time you need on the second attempt. If you're memorizing for an FSA exam, you have to rememorize everything. And you have to get to a point where you recognize types of problems and subjects immediately and where you can get through the problems really quickly. And to get there, you have to have recently reviewed and practiced. And now that I'm done with my exams, I would just tell anybody who's still taking them that the end is not that far away. It's definitely not as far away as you think. And making the sacrifice now is worth it. And when you're making progress, it doesn't feel so long.
I like that a lot. So do you like remember distinct times when, you were just going and things just clicked, or, like you got in those hours? Like, does it just feel different when you're able to put in the recommended hours versus, take an exam when you've had significantly less?
Yeah, I mean, I learned by trial and error, and I think a lot of people learn that way. But anybody who's succeeded that you talk to, that at work or through your friends, they'll tell you that they focused and they put in a ton of time. And, that's really what you need to do to get through it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a reality of what we do, but I think it's what helps make this profession so rewarding. So, thank you very much. And now that we're getting into like talking about the profession and getting into that a little bit more, when you went from your college experience and you like kind of transitioned into the workplace, so you went through the whole interview process and things like that. Is there anything that you could recommend in terms of landing a job? Maybe you can just help us walk through, some of the things that you find most important when it comes to landing a job as an actuary and something to help differentiate yourself.
Yeah, that's a good question. Getting an interview spot is kind of straightforward. It's just about having a good resume, the right grades, the right classes, the right activities. But one way you can differentiate yourself is by going into an interview and having good questions ahead of time. So the things that you ask an interviewer, they can reveal as much about you as your answers to the interviewer's questions. So if you ask an interviewer, what differentiates a successful employee from an average employee, or what mentorship and development opportunities are available at your company, those questions say something about you and they tell the interviewer what you care about. So, if you ask about study time, there's nothing wrong with that, but it might not convey any real information about yourself. So just come prepared with good questions and thoughtful questions, and it'll really differentiate you with your interviewers.
I like that. So like that just gives you an opportunity to show who you are without going too far or just having a different angle behind it.
Yeah, um, it means that you've thought through what you're doing and what you want to do and where you want to go. So, the study question, if you ask about, how many study hours do you get or study days you get for an exam, that kind of means that you haven't thought about the actual job and that maybe I have nothing. That's kind of what you're saying.
I like that. I like that. Thanks for that, Tier. I think that's some pretty actionable advice. So, pro socialites, good luck with coming up with questions. And if you have any questions or you want to bounce any off of anyone, please feel free. Send me an email. I'd love to help and see what I can do. So, Tahir, let's go ahead and bring things down to what's happening right now, your present day time here. And let's go ahead and talk about like your current role right now. Can you give us a little bit of an insight into what a typical day or week is like for you?
Sure. So I have 4 or 5 project teams right now, and each of those projects is not full time. So I typically work on different projects on different days and even different projects within the same day. So I keep a schedule where I note down what assignments I need to do each day for the next week or for the next 2 weeks, just so that I can manage the deadlines across my different teams. And my assignments might require using our actuarial valuation software. They might require working in Excel or creating presentations, memos, or other correspondence for the client. And now that I've been working for 5 years, I'm usually the first level of review, and I spend a fair amount of time training and developing our junior teammates. I'm also a contact for my clients, so I get phone calls from them during the day about various projects that we're doing for them. I give them status updates and I look into their questions. So, for example, a client might call me and ask me a data question about a pension plan participant. I also lead team status calls and I provide updates on assignments and I help out with planning and scheduling projects for my teams. So, for me, every day is different and there are multiple responsibilities that I'm balancing.
I think that's really great. And so you've been able to go through this throughout the last 5 years and really get this type of experience here. I like how you mentioned that you get to also like train junior staff. You were mentioning also that you teach a class. So it seems that like really connecting with people and helping them throughout is something that reigns true for you. Is that right?
Yeah, because it's just something I went through myself. I was taking the exams, I was in school not that long ago. I was learning how to do the first drafts of a pension actuarial valuation just a few years ago. So I'm all the memories, all the things that I learned, all the lessons, they're still fresh in my mind. So it's just really great to be able to share those with other people and help them along the way too.
Yeah, well, thanks so much for that, Tier. Look, let's keep on this track here and kind of look maybe a little bit ahead here and let me know what is something that's happening right now in your line of work, just a general like business activity that's taking place that kind of excites you and gets you going.
Well, in the pension world, I think that right now, for me, plan design work is really exciting. Pension plan sponsors are constantly looking at the financial, the regulatory, and the talent implications of their benefit plans. And all of these different aspects are constantly changing. So, being involved with discussions with the chief financial officer of a company, for example, and hearing about their concerns and their priorities for their organization, it's really powerful. And it's like probably the best way to learn. And, I get to help my clients achieve their goals, and I also get to learn about really important business issues.
Wow, it seems like you've had some pretty high moments already in your career here. Congrats on that.
Thanks.
Yeah, definitely. So along with that though, like, is there any one accomplishment that you might say is like that like, really rings true to you as a great moment? And if so, would you mind sharing it and what kind of led up to that?
Yeah. the exams are definitely something I'm very happy about and very proud of. But I think the one thing that I'm the most proud of is getting promoted multiple times at work. And, I think what drove those promotions is, especially at a junior level, just organization skills and being willing to work a little bit later than others really helped make me successful. So if you read every word of every email, if you add every request to a to-do list and you follow up until that project's completed, if you plan project timelines in advance and you stick to them, all these things will make your senior teammates trust you. And once you've developed that trust, you'll get more responsibility and you'll really move forward in your career.
I've definitely seen that to be just incredibly useful for me as well. So thanks for sharing that. Tahir, we're about to go ahead and change things up a little bit. Are you ready for the quick fire section?
Let's do it.
All right. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to ask you a series of questions, and you can just come back at us and let us know with just 1 to 3 sentence answers what your opinion is on each of them. So how about we go ahead and start off? How do you describe what an actuary does to other people?
Well, I try to give an example that they can actually relate to. So, for example, I'll say, how much should an insurance company charge you for health insurance for the next year? Well, if I know how often an average person gets sick in a year or needs surgery, and I know how much it costs each time you have to go to the doctor, I can figure out what the average premium should be for a 1 year policy. And people get engaged when you give them an example and you confirm that they understand each step and they can actually relate it to themselves.
Oh, that's great. What is the best advice you have ever received?
One of my senior managers told me that after a client works with me, I want them to think, where have you been all my life? So if you don't have clients, you can think of your boss as your client, but try your best every time, pay attention to and address every little detail, and do such an awesome job that other people want you on their team.
Think, where have you been all my life? I love it. It's perfect, it's simple, and it's like just so actionable. So, Tier, is there a resource, some kind of book, an app, or something like that that you found useful throughout your actuarial journey?
Yeah, in particular, I found Actuarial Outpost to be very helpful for the exams. So if you don't know anyone that's taking the same exam as you, there are other people on there who can help you out. So for some of the FAP module assessments right before you get your ASA, you can actually ask other people for help. And I formed a Google group of some random people I met on Actuarial Outpost that were taking the same assessment as me the same weekend I was taking it, and it was really beneficial.
No, I really like that. I mean, for me personally, I really think that having a community of people that are going through the same experiences or have gone through that really, really does make a difference. So I'm glad you're able to find that. And Actuarial Outpost Pro Socialites will include a link to this in Tahir's interview summary. You can find that at psljourney.com/Tahir Qadir. That's TAHIR QADIR. And we'll go ahead and make sure that we include that link. Thanks very much, Tahir. So, Tahir, I'm going to go ahead now and ask you one other question here. And I really like this question. I'm very interested in your response. It's a little bit of a long one, but hopefully, you can deal with me as I go through it. So, Tahir, imagine you woke up tomorrow and you're at the beginning of your actuarial journey all over again. You still have all the experience and knowledge you currently have, but you knew no one and you had no exams. And let's go ahead and add a cherry on top. You didn't have a job as an actuary yet. What would you do in the next 7 days?
I would definitely find an actuary to talk to. If I was in college, I would ask my math or actuarial department advisor to get me in touch with an alum who was working as an actuary. And then I would ask that actuary for advice. So I would learn what they're doing at their job, how they prepared for exams, what activities and preparation, they recommend take undertaking during college to get my resume ready for an application, interview tips, how to be successful in the workplace. The best way to learn how to do something is to get help from someone who has already done it.
Absolutely, Tier. It's exactly why I wanted to create this community here because there's so much information. There's so many people who've already done these things, and it's just so much easier. Like you had said, trial and error. It's a lot easier just getting good advice from good people who've done it. So, thanks for sharing that. So Tahir, we're kind of at the end of our conversation, and it's been an absolute pleasure for me. I want to make sure that we give you one other chance to just give any kind of information or any other kind of advice you'd like to share with pro socialites out there.
I would say be confident in yourself. When I think about the actuaries that I want to be like, they're always confident in themselves. They're confident in me, and they encourage me to achieve my goals. So if you love being an actuary, your passion and your confidence are really going to propel you through the exams and your career.
Absolutely. Passion, confidence, and really just looking inwardly and finding that within. I really, really just appreciate that comment to here. Uh, I want to go ahead and just say thank you very, very much for making time today to talk here. I know that this has been incredibly useful for me, and again, as I said, as a mentor and a good friend of mine, I just want to just say thank you. I think that there's been some absolutely valuable insight shared today.
Oh, thanks for having me. It was my pleasure.
Hey, pro socialites, are you interested in or thinking about becoming an actuary? Do you have questions about what an actuary actually does or how best to prepare for exams? Are you looking to be part of a community of successful actuaries and actuarial students sharing their lessons learned to help one another succeed in the profession? Well, then come be a part of the ProSocial Learning community. Visit psljourney.com and find interviews, webinars, blog posts, online courses, and everything else that we can provide, all geared to help you succeed as an actuary. Definitely let us know if you have any questions or if you're interested in sharing your journey on ProSocial Learning. Just go to psljourney.com/questions or send an email to questions@psljourney.com. Are you ready to embark on a journey? Let's do this.